Special procedures is the name given to the independent experts that are mandated and appointed by the Human Rights Council to monitor a thematic or country-specific human rights situation. And a range of special procedures mandates presents their annual thematic report to each session of the Human Rights Council, as well as their reports of country visit that they undertook that year. This 56th session of the Human Rights Council has seen several special procedures mandates recommend to states to move away from criminal responses to a range of issues, including homelessness, poverty, and drug use. For instance, the Special Rapporteurs on Poverty and Housing published a joint report that criticizes the criminalization of homelessness and poverty, and also criticizes punitive and carceral approaches overall that penalize individuals for issues that actually have to do with structural inequality. When it comes to poverty and homelessness, that's often done through restrictions of what is allowed in public spaces or restrictions to protect public order in laws that appear neutral, but that actually target people who are poor or who don't have a home in ways that are also very racialized as well as classed, of course. For instance, colonial-era vagrancy laws or prohibitions against begging, squatting, sleeping, bathing, or cooking, for a form of informal labor in public spaces. These are all activities that the special rapporteurs have called life-sustaining and that end up being criminalized or punished in ways that perpetuate discrimination, exclusion, and segregation. Another example is the Special Rapporteur on the Right to Health, who also presented a report this session on drug use and harm reduction, in which she outlined the harms of prevailing approaches that criminalize the production, distribution, and consumption of drugs, because these approaches have led to a series of human rights violations and target people who are oppressed and marginalized, and who are then arrested, incarcerated, or even killed for drug-related offenses. The report also mentions the colonial and racist origins of the war on drugs that has shaped international drug control conventions and been led by the Global North with serious impacts everywhere, and especially in the Global South. Instead, the Special Rapporteur calls for harm reduction and for decriminalizing the use, possession, purchase, and cultivation of drugs for personal use. Several other mandates also made related findings in their reports to this session. For instance, the Working Group on Discrimination Against Women and Girls expressed concern about the discriminatory application of criminal laws to sex workers, to women and girls who are poor or who don't conform to sexual and gender norms. The Special Rapporteur on Migrants criticized hostile narratives that dehumanize and criminalize migrants and that scapegoat them for societal and economic issues. The Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Expression criticized the use of criminal libel laws to prosecute journalists for just doing their job. The independent expert on international solidarity also called for an end to the criminalization of international solidarity with the Palestinian people and the criminalization of calls for self-determination, decolonization, and against apartheid or genocide. And finally, the Special Rapporteur on the independence of judges and lawyers also criticized the instrumentalization of criminal justice in service of government aims. Those are just a few examples, so we would encourage you to have a look at the full reports, which we will link below, and to follow us for more information on the highlights of this 56th session of the Human Rights Council.